يقصدون الإسرائيليون الذي يجب الآن إدخاله من الجانب الشرقي.
Into its 7th week, the Israel-Hamas war has leveled vast swaths of Gaza, fueled a surge of violence in the occupied West Bank, and stirred fears of a wider conflagration across the Middle East. But then there was a pause. A temporary ceasefire agreement to facilitate the release of dozens of people in captivity from both sides. It brought a glimmer of hope to the families of the hostages in Israel. The truce is also raising expectations of winding down the war. On the 24th of November, the first day of the Gaza ceasefire, Hamas released 24 hostages held captive in Gaza for weeks. And Israel reciprocated. It freed 39 Palestinians from its prisons in the first stage of a swap. Israel cheered as 13 Israeli women and children emerged free from Gaza. The youngest was a 2-year-old. 10 people from Thailand and 1 from the Philippines were released too. Israel published a series of photographs of some of the people released by Hamas in the first batch. Yoni Asher, whose wife Doron and 2 daughters were abducted by Hamas, was reunited with them on the 24th of November. In a video released by the Schneider Children's Hospital, Asher is seen embracing his wife and children on a hospital bed. His 4-year-old daughter Raz told him that she dreamt they would come home. And Asher told Raz with a smile that her dream had finally come true.
הנה עכשיו החלום מתגשם, אנחנו בבית, זהו, אנחנו עוד מעט הולכים לבית שלנו. עוד מעט אנחנו חוזרים לבית שלנו.
On the other side, in Gaza, day one of the ceasefire brought the much-needed peace and quiet for 2.3 million Palestinians reeling from the relentless Israeli bombardment that had killed thousands. Palestinians rejoiced at the return of their loved ones held in Israeli prisons. 24-year-old Palestinian prisoner Mara Bakir was 16 years of age when she was taken into custody following an incident where Israeli soldiers shot her in the hand after she stabbed a soldier. Mara was freed in the first batch under the truce deal. With tears of joy rolling down her cheeks and a look of utter disbelief, Bakir's mother ran down to hug her daughter, who had spent 8 years in an Israeli prison.
I have mixed feelings, but at the same time, I'm very happy to be with my family. I will start a new life with them. They are crying, but it's tears of joy. I'm also happy with the other people, other prisoners who have gone home, and I'm hopeful that the largest number of prisoners could be released soon.
Mara Bakir is one of the many Palestinian women and children prisoners released from Israeli prisons in exchange for the Hamas captives under a Qatar-mediated deal that included an initial 4-day truce in Gaza. So what exactly is the Qatar-mediated deal? And what does the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas look like? Let's understand. The deal was brokered by Qatar, the US and Egypt. It capped weeks of negotiations and set the stage that could determine the course of the war. The ceasefire agreement between the Hamas militant group and Israel meant that under the deal, Hamas will free over a 4-day period at least 50 of the nearly 240 hostages taken in after its attack on Israel. In exchange, 150 Palestinian prisoners would be released by Israel. These were teenagers detained over the past year for minor offenses. Israel said the truce would be extended an extra day for every additional 10 hostages freed by Hamas, while Hamas said hundreds of trucks carrying humanitarian aid, including fuel, would be allowed to enter Gaza. The deal also included a provision for the International Committee of the Red Cross to visit hostages in captivity. On the second day of the exchange deal between Israel and Hamas, 39 Palestinians returned home. Isra Jabis was one of them. Watch the moment where she embraces her son after being separated from him for 8 long years in Israel.
Thank God, my pain is visible. No need to speak about it. I also feel pain on an emotional level, and I'm missing my relatives. But this is the tax a prisoner pays.
Jabez was sentenced to 11 years in jail for detonating a gas cylinder at a checkpoint in 2015. Visuals of families reuniting after weeks of agony have brought some respite to Palestine and Israel alike. For the first time in nearly 2 months, Shira Havron can breathe a sigh of relief. 6 of her 7 relatives taken hostage by Hamas have finally returned to Israel. The family members were among the 58 hostages freed under a ceasefire deal.
For us, it doesn't end until everyone is home, and as much as we are relieved and grateful to have some of our family back and the kids, it's not over at all. We can't celebrate and we can't move on with our lives until everyone is back. It's a constant fight. It's not over at all.
At the very center of the handover, a quiet but crucial part was played by the International Committee of the Red Cross, or ICRC. Visuals of the releases show Red Cross staff in their distinctive white vests, emblazoned with its internationally recognized emblem, taking hostages from masked gunmen, carefully helping them into their vehicles, giving them first aid, and even playing with children in their first moments of freedom. ICRC is unarmed and relies entirely on the trust of the warring parties to carry out their work. In the same way as it has transported hostages out of Gaza, it has also taken to their West Bank homes Palestinian prisoners released by Israel in exchange.